Let's try this activity. You have to answer the question as fast as you can, later. Watch these words carefully. You will be asked after this. Night. Cold. Fridge. Dream. Pillow. Banana. Sharp. Wake. Happy. Morning. Sleep. Cat. Now, count from 20 to 14. Backwards. Okay, now. Answer this question. Fill in the blank. Did you answer bed? Why didn't you answer bad? Or bid? Or bod? Or bud? Okay, let's do one more. You have to answer quickly. What is the color of a cloud? What is the color of a tissue? What do cows drink? Anybody answered milk? If you have heard this question before, you would probably answer water. But if you haven't, most probably you would answer milk. How did I know what answer will you give? This is what we call anchoring or priming. Just like an anchor, when it is dropped, it will not allow the ship to go far from it. Just like in this case. Before I ask those questions, I have already anchored your brain to think of words related to bed, such as night, dream, pillow, wake, morning, and sleep. And like in the second question, I anchored your brain to things related to the color white. And when the question is about a cow, you were still thinking unconsciously of the color white, thus you remembered milk, as it is white in color. Anchoring happens when someone depends on the information he had earlier to make a certain decision. Let's look at this example. Let's say I want to sell you a t-shirt for $100. Is it expensive? Or is it cheap? You haven't heard of the brand before, and never seen a t-shirt similar to it. So it is probably hard to guess what the reasonable price should be. But, if yesterday, you saw a similar t-shirt at a store, selling at $150, you will then accept my t-shirt I was selling as cheap. You use the knowledge you had about the t-shirt yesterday as your anchor. If you see any other similar t-shirt with higher price than your anchor, you will assume the t-shirt is expensive. And if you see it with lower price, you will assume it is cheap. Let's look at another example. Let's say you are shopping online and you see a beautiful shoes that you haven't seen anywhere before, selling at $159. You may think that it is worth it, or maybe it is not. You don't have any reference. But when you look at the price, it was selling at $318 before. But because it has a 50% discount now, the price dropped down to $159. You may now feel like this is an absolute bargain, because you can buy this shoes at only half of the normal price. You use the price before discount as your anchor. Although maybe, the price might be $159 all along, and you just don't know because you don't have any reference to make comparison. So, does anchoring affect your decision making? In an experiment done by Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, two groups of students were asked to spin a wheel of fortune that is numbers from 1 to 100. The experimenters had rigged the wheel to always land on either 10 or 65. Afterwards, they were asked to answer a question not at all related to the numbers they land on. They were asked to estimate the actual percentage of African countries in the UN. The result showed that the students who had been presented with the low anchor, which was 10, answered an average of 25% as the answer. And the students who had been presented with high anchor, which was 65, answered an average of 45%. This shows that although the anchor has no significant meaning to the question given, it still affects our decision. Anchoring is used a lot in sales and marketing. For example, a second-hand car salesman could give you a $30,000 price tag when you asked for the price of the car. And maybe while you are weighing your options, he would give you a $3,000 discount if you agree to sign the loan application today. You might now feel tempted to buy the car as it is now only $27,000. A $3,000 saving from a normal price which was the anchor. But just for today. Although, this strategy combines anchoring with another type of psychology persuasion which is scarcity, which we will talk about in another video. One more example. Let's say a real estate agent showed you a house that has been sold last month for $200,000, and then bring you to another same type of house for sale. But this house is selling at only $170,000. $30,000 less. You must be thinking that this is a great deal. Because in your mind, you might be thinking this house supposed to cost $200,000, but you can buy it now at only $170,000. You must get it now before anyone else gets it. Although, you didn't know for a fact about the story of the earlier house sold for $200,000. It could be true, or it could be not. But you still feel tempted. In one experiment, random people were called to give their opinion in wine tasting. Which of the two wines taste better? Two types of wine with the same price were given. But one were labeled $25, and another one with $45. The result? Which wine do you think the people will like more? Almost all of the respondents liked the wine labeled with the more expensive price, which is $45, although both are of the same quality. What makes it more interesting is, when the price was swapped. Suddenly, new respondent chose the wine with the newly labeled with $45 as the one that tasted better. Did the wine suddenly change its taste when the price was swapped? Of course not. This shows that decision was not actually made by the taste of the wine, but more influenced by the anchor given earlier, which was the price of the wine. Normally people will be thinking, when the thing is more expensive, it must be better. Maybe you might want to stop a while to think before making a decision after this. Share and subscribe to support us and to see more videos like this in the future.